And there it is, another year, another unfinished Inktober. I may have said it that way, but I didn't really intend to take on the challenge of the one drawing per day, only the inking part. I bought a new sketchbook before October and I figured I would try completing it only with inks to see what it could look like at the end. So I guess Inktober was just my starting point. Since I won't be able to finish covering all the pages by the end of October, and I'm not in a rush to do so. What I've been wanting to talk about was more about what this return to traditional drawing medium has brought me after being almost entirely digital. In a world of screens, styluses, and a never-ending supply of digital art tools into one program, it felt weird to return to a limiting and what seemed like an archaic medium. However, what drawing on paper took back on the convenience side, it gave back on the fun aspect. I'm gonna sound like a purist, but drawing on paper and feeling the brush pen on the paper does have a satisfying feeling to it, completely opposed to what just drawing on a screen feels like, which is not very good. I have to admit, I had quite a hard time adjusting myself after being only digital for some time, and a lot of my lines were full of hesitation. It's something I did not anticipate, and it was pretty frustrating in the beginning. It also brings up something funny I noticed. Whenever I made mistakes on paper with my other hand, instantly I did a two-finger tap to try and undo what I just messed up. I felt pretty stupid at that moment. Or sometimes trying to occasionally do the keyboard shortcut thing to copy and paste, but has no effect on a sketchbook. Yeah, I hope I'm not the only one in that situation. It made me realize that when drawing digitally, I felt a lot more free, and so my drawing speed was way faster and more experimental. I just draw whatever pops in my head to see what happens and continue or erase it. This was something I took for granted, and switching back to paper took quite some time to adjust to it. Eventually, I started slowing down and thinking more about what I wanted to draw before putting my hand to the work. I don't think it's either a good or bad thing because both sides have their advantages. More freedom and creativity on digital contrasted to a more thought out process on paper. In my opinion, it's good to do both and not be completely handicapped in one medium. Before we go on, here's a very quick message from the sponsor of this video, which is myself. I'm actually creating lots of digital products that I use for drawing, painting, photo, and video editing. I only started selling them online when I felt really proud about these products, so if you also want to grab some cool brushes, photo presets, and LUTs that I created and use for my personal and professional work, there are links in the description down below. Thank you very much if you ever decide to support me this way, it truly makes a world of difference. And I'm sure you'll love whatever you buy. Now, back to the video. Another problem I identified on paper is that I almost always miscalculate the scale of my final character on the page and ended up cropping some feet or having to redraw it. On digital, it's so easy to sketch something and resize it however we want during the sketching process to then have the perfect proportions. When I draw a character, I usually start from the head and go from top to bottom, and this is why I had some cropped feet and some legs I had to stick underwater to make it seem like this was on purpose. I guess this is just a new point on which I must work on in order to improve. But all in all, I had a blast getting back to drawing with inks on paper, and the sketchbook is far from finished, so I'll definitely continue. I clearly see where my mistakes are, in mostly anatomical or in perspective, since I can't hide them or correct them anymore once it's inked. But I guess that is just a stark reminder of how much I still need to improve. For everyone like me who went entirely digital, I highly recommend dipping back into traditional media, whatever one has your preference. I feel it's a really good thing to go back to the basics once in a while and work with some restrictions. Helps you change the way you think about your drawing process and it gives some challenge to it. Who doesn't like some challenge? Anyway, that's where I'll end my little monologue for today. Thanks for listening to me, and I hope you got something out of this. If you could spare a second to press the like button and subscribe, it would really make my day. I'll see you in the next video, and in the meantime, keep creating. Bye everyone, love you all.